Hello. I'm a game developer, and it's actually a group of guys and girls, so we are a mixed group who created it. And so I want to talk to you about how we're trying to use games to approach really serious subjects in a different way, and some of the reactions we've had to that, and how we go about it, and a few of the issues around there. Making games is what I do. I'm a games designer. This is sort of stuff that goes into what we do. So you can see there's a bit of code there, there's a little bit of art, there's this bit here is the design bit, the bit I do. Basically, making games is about designing a system. It's designing a simulation. We're system designers. It sounds less cool than games, but when we put it all together, you get something like this. So this is a game I made before. This is Call of Cthulhu: The Wasted Land, if any of you recognize the Lovecraft references. So all that stuff we put goes together to make this. But these are games set in mythical worlds. They're made up. We draw from the real world, sure, but ultimately it's a bit of fun. By contrast, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to turn real events, serious events, sometimes into games. And this has sparked a huge debate about the nature of what we're doing, whether it's right and wrong, and these various issues. So here's just a sample of some of the debates happening. But I think it's important for these numbers. That top one represents the percentage of young people who play games. The one below that is if you add in those who interact with those games through Facebook. The number below that is the percentage of gamers who report they think about morality and ethical issues while playing games. And the bottom one is how the percentage of players who think about systems of government and things like that through games. But we think of games as fun, this sort of thing. It's a laugh, it's trivial, it's frivolous, it's entertainment, it has no serious value. And I think in a way that's because that's what we've been trained to think. Games are nothing new with war. This is one of the first games ever made. It's a game called Space War from the 60s. And this is, it's a game with this sort of militaristic aspect to it. And that's far from all of the games that have to do with war. It's a very common theme. So the Second World War has been played and replayed in video games innumerable times. And here's a few screen grabs to show that. So wars and games are old bedfellows, if you like. There's nothing unusual about that. So why is what we do unusual? Well, when I say to people we're going to make a game about the Syrian civil war, they assume we're going to do something like this. So this is from Call of Duty, well, it's from Modern Warfare, and they assume it's just, we're taking something and trivializing it, we're making entertainment, there's no value beyond that. But actually that couldn't be further from what we do. This is a sample of some of the different genres of games we have now. And you can see that shooting games are a tiny percentage of the overall types of games. The types of games and the range of people playing games is vast. We have all sorts of different ways to choose. But ultimately, it's still a war. It's still something really serious going on. There's still that line that people feel being crossed, an invisible line that says, you can talk about war through other mediums, but not games, not seriously. You can't really approach it in any way. And people are dying. How dare you? Well, for me, games are my primary medium, and I'm not unusual. And that percentage I show, loads of people engage with the world through games. Games are our medium, and that's how we think about the world. So should we be denied a voice to talk serious? I don't think so. The other thing is, games normally take a long time to make, around about 2 years for a console title. We wanted to produce this quickly so it can be topical and relevant. So we started the game there, and about 2 weeks later, we launched. So it's a very fast turnaround compared to how we normally make games. The other thing I wanted to do that was pretty key was to tie in the political and the military. What we built was a strategic title that put you in the role of having to make difficult choices both on a strategic level and on a political level. We wanted those things to be intermeshed. We wanted people to see the game and see the complexities of the situation. You want to come away from our game knowing more about that situation than when you started playing it. We wanted all those different factions to be represented. We wanted it to have an educational quality, but we wanted it to engage people ultimately, because if no one bothers playing it, what's the point? So this shows some of the different ways that we've represented the different aspects of what's going on. And we wanted those moral qualms to be put to the player. Do you break the ceasefire for a military advantage, or do you leave it? Also, one of the things we can offer as a game is we're non-linear. So you can replay and replay and replay. You can say, well, what if? And that's where it came from, listening to some pundits say, what if we arm the rebels? What if this happened? Well, you can replay this game as many times as you like, take the different choices and see what happens. So how have people reacted? This is from the gaming press. This is from Rock, Paper, Shotgun, a really big game site. They get games because obviously we're all gamers. They understand what we're trying to do, and we've had some really good write-ups and really good support from the games industry. By contrast, and actually also positive, the mainstream media has been fascinated by what we're doing, but also a little bit standoffish. So we've had huge coverage around there. But in general, it's like, wow, this is really interesting, question mark. So a lot of titles with question marks we've generated as a result of this. But we've also had some pushback. This is one of my favourite ones. This is Russia Today had a TV segment talking about how immoral this game is and how it can't be believed because, for God's sake, they get it completely wrong. I mean, they say that Russia's supporting the Assad regime, and we're clearly neutral in this, so where are their sources? But for me, this is the thing that makes it worthwhile, is when I see a comment like this is on the Android store, where a gamer's played our game, and they've clearly got what we're trying to do. They've understood that we're crafting a message that's more than entertainment. They've understood that actually we're getting them to engage and think. So ultimately, that's what we did and how we did it. And if you're interested in making games, there's part of Digital Week in Bristol. There's a global games jam which anyone can join in and have a bash at making a game. And give me a shout or my colleague Debbie over there if you're interested. Thank you very much.